What's up, people? Welcome back to another edition of the Seven Figures or Bust podcast. I'm your host, Christian Brindle. This is the show where we talk about your business. We talk about entrepreneurship, specifically probably catered to growing insurance businesses, insurance agencies related to the insurance industry, because that's the business that I'm in. And a lot of our following is insurance-related individuals. But really, I mean, the principles that we talk about on the show could be transferred to probably almost any kind of business. And today on this episode, what I wanted to kind of bring to the table and talk about was, in my opinion, the 6 levels of growing a business. And when I say growing a business, I'm not talking about like a successful mom and pop yogurt shop. I'm not talking about a little business, that's like local, family owned, been in this town for 40 or 50 years, that kind of stuff. Those stories are great and I love to see it. But I'm more talking about businesses that grow to be a force and a legacy business for generations to come in the industry that they're in. I find that there's so many people today giving advice on business and entrepreneurship, and without even necessarily taking my word for it, I think if you study real business people, people that have created the most influential businesses of our time, of our generation, of the generations before us, you look at people like Walt Disney, you look at people like Elon Musk, you look at people like Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs. They all kind of follow a similar formula, but there's so many people online these days, that, and most of the time they're selling a training, a course, some kind of mentorship, inner circle bullshit, right? But they're always preaching things like, and they're really marketing these ideas to people that don't have a pot to piss in. They don't have 2 nickels to rub together, right? So they're not people that are in any position to try to get to like the finish line, right? Like I talk in this episode, I'm going to talk about the 6 levels of business. And I almost think about it like if you've ever played video games, which most people probably have at some point in their life. When you play a video game, you have levels in the video game. And each level, you have a more complicated problem that you need to solve than you did in the level before. And business is the same way. A person that's starting a business from scratch that just got incorporated, just got their LLC set up, let's say, doesn't have the same focus points, nor should they, as a person that has a legacy business that's at the top of their game and the top of the food chain in their industry. It's just not playing the same game. And it's not that that person starting out can't get to that point, but you have to be able to walk before you can crawl. You have to be able to crawl before you can walk. You have to be able to crawl before you can certainly run or sprint or do, skips. And there's so many people in our world today, and I feel like it's incredibly damaging. They're selling courses and trainings to people that with the idea that's like, hey, laptop lifestyle, have multiple streams of income. This is another one that I typically hear. Now, I myself am a person that has multiple streams of income, but to be so naive as to think that you can go from basically being on food stamps, you can go from being on WellCare to having multiple streams of income like that is absolutely ludicrous. People that have multiple streams of income legitimately, and when I say multiple streams of income, I don't mean you're making $50 here, $100 there, $200 here. They're making like $25,000 a year and it's coming from 6 different sources. Guess what? That's great. You have 6 different sources of income, but you're still broke. You still don't have a pot to piss in, right? So you're online and on social media posting selfies, multiple streams of income, #entrepreneur, but you're not going anywhere, not doing anything. And to me, it's embarrassing. And so what I'm going to be talking about in this episode is a message that I believe needs to be taught more. And that is understanding the levels and the progression you have to go through to get to a place of a Jeff Bezos. or an Elon Musk. Jeff Bezos, let's take him for as an example, right? Jeff Bezos built a company out of his garage, right, or out of his home. Everybody that's listening to this knows the name of said company, Amazon. Amazon is a revolutionary business. It started off doing book sales over the internet. And when Amazon first became a thing, when Amazon first became a concept, people ridiculed it because they're like, you'll never win against the bookstores. And as time went on, Amazon grew to dominate book sales, so much so that they literally were putting bookstores out of business. And today they're putting everyone out of business for the most part, all kinds of different industries and everything like that. Now, what did Amazon do? They spent a decade dominating the book sales, becoming the best of the best of the best by specializing. Then, and only then, after it has grown to a revolutionary multi-billion-dollar influential company, do they start to diversify and do other things. But they're not stopping what they're doing. They're doing it at scale in such a way to where they can keep doing what they're doing, but they have so much wealth and infrastructure that they can open up different departments to compete in other industries. And that's how but it all ties together to what they're doing, which is online e-commerce sales, right? And Amazon, everything they do, if you pay close attention, relates to e-commerce sales. This is apparent to anybody that's paying attention. But we have such a problem right now in the online entrepreneurship world where anybody can make an account on a platform and be very, very loud, very, very noisy, present a message in such a way to where they're like, hey, you have 0 streams of good income right now, but why don't you create multiple streams of income? And a lot of times, like, you're doing like affiliate marketing, you're doing multi-level marketing, pyramid kind of shit. Let's say you're trying to run a business and then you're doing like something like that on the side. This is what people don't understand. Companies like Amazon can play in so many different arenas. But as I said a second ago, they relate to each other. So they're not going completely off to Pluto, for one. Number two, it's not one guy or 2 or 3 people trying to do 40 different things all at once. Everybody has 24 hours in a day. And if you're in Amazon and you have take that back, hundreds of thousands of employees, you can open up different departments. As I said earlier, wealth, infrastructure to be able to enter different arenas to play. But there's so many people they're like multiple streams of income. And when you look at what they're doing, they're driving for Uber. They have a job where they make minimum wage. They have like a side business of sorts. Maybe they're doing cleaning or something like that. And they don't make a whole lot of money doing much of anything. They have multiple streams of mediocre income, to put it lightly. And I feel like this is a problem because there's a lack of education. There's not enough people like myself standing up and teaching, being like, listen, I am somebody that has grown a multi-million-dollar business now at this point. I'm somebody that's grown an incredibly influential business that has impact in my industry to this point. And so I have the credibility to speak on this. And I have made mistakes in my career early on when it was just me. I didn't have any team members. I didn't have any staff. I didn't have any employees. I didn't have any infrastructure, to where I was trying to do like side gigs and side hustles. And guess what? They cost me hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars over the years trying to do this early on. So it comes from a place of experience and understanding. I pity the people that fall into these traps. But I'm telling you right now, the best thing you can do is find something with A, unlimited potential. That's why I do insurance, unlimited potential. And 2, stick to it, laser focus on it, become obsessed with it, and grow it to the sky. And we're going to go through these 6 different steps of building a business and what your focus should be and how your focus can change as you go. And if you look at any great business person or great business mind, this is the 6 steps that every single one of them took. So the first step in anybody's journey of growing a business or starting a business is starting. Level number one is starting from scratch. What does this mean? It means that you just open the doors, metaphorically, of your business. You probably don't even have a physical location yet. You probably are running it out of your basement, your garage, that kind of thing. Your early Steve Jobs, your early Amazon, your early Microsoft, all these businesses that started out of a home, a garage, that kind of thing. You're starting from scratch. And when you're at level 1 and you're starting from scratch, and this is where most people never get past, by the way. Most people never move past level 1 to even level 2. And why is that? Well, it comes back to what we were talking about a second ago. It's their lack of focus. There's so many people that cannot, their attention span is this big, and they cannot focus on any one thing. They have what I would call shiny object syndrome. So let's say you're doing business A, and this is what you've decided to do for yourself. You're all in. But a month later, you decide that you want to start doing business B part-time and splitting your time between business A and business B because you want multiple streams of income because some guy on YouTube or in the internet said you should. This is the biggest reason why most businesses fail, in my opinion. It's a huge problem because people can't see more than, what's in front of them. They don't understand let's say business A and B both have lots of potential. They both are great businesses. Let's just say that. Let's make that argument. But by not putting your time into one or the other, remember when you're first starting a business, everything that happens is because of your own blood, sweat, and tears because you have no clients, no reputation, no brand, no infrastructure. Everything is happening because you're getting out there and you're hustling. And there's only 24 hours in the day. You are only one person. I've always heard people make arguments to me about this. They're like, well, I can spend 2 hours a day on this, and this is time I wasn't going to be spending towards business A anyway. And my response back is, why the hell not? If you have extra time to work on something else, why wouldn't you put it towards business A? It's a compounding effect. All the effort you put into business A is compounding. And by taking your attention and your effort and putting it into business B, you are then letting that momentum that you've actually built up through the time that you put into business A, you're letting it die down a little bit. I've always said this to people. If you have business A and you're at level 1, which I call starting from scratch, and you are splitting your time between business A and business B, if business A has the potential, if it is the vehicle that can take you where you want to go, then any available time that you would have to spend on business B should be put into business A. It's the most simple concept that you can possibly find. But you would not believe how many people don't understand this. And it's what prevents people from ever making it in business, understanding this concept. Can you imagine if Jeff Bezos is starting Amazon? That's his business A. And he goes and he's driving for a taxi cab company like after 6 o'clock. So he does Amazon from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then he goes and drives a taxi cab company from 6 to like 11. How stupid would that be? It makes no sense. But this is what people are doing. They're driving for Uber. They're doing this. They're doing that. Now, if you don't have money to pay your bills, like if you don't have money to pay your rent and you need something quick, like you need a side job, something like that, that is different. I understand it. But so many people that have a reliable and great future in business A will go off and try to do a business B. They're doing affiliate marketing. They're doing multi-level marketing, a commission-based thing, to where business A is also a commission-based thing. Like what the hell, guys? What do you think you're doing? You're spreading yourself out and you never get any momentum anywhere. And then you flame out and you get a job. That's what happens. There's no shame in having a job, by the way. There are so many great jobs out there that are great opportunities for people. And I don't shame anybody for taking one, and not everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. Not everybody wants to be a business builder. You can make a great living for yourself and your family by working with a good company. So I'm not saying that, but if you want to be an entrepreneur, if you want to build a legacy business like what we're talking about in this podcast today, you can't do this. Laser focus, and you start from scratch and you hustle. That's step one. For level one. Level two is going to be making a name for yourself. So once you've started to hustle, you're acquiring clients, you have some revenue coming in. Now it's time to make a name for yourself, because you know what? Hardly anybody knows who you are. You're the new kid on the block. Nobody knows who you are right now. So this is the time to really get loud, get noisy, and you want to just absolutely go for it with massive action, massive income producing activities, and you are trying to bring in more business than ever, and you're letting your competition know that, hey, I am here and I'm here to stay and I'm not going anywhere. You're making a name for yourself. Still laser focused, by the way. Level 3 gets to a point where I would call it scaling up the operation. So through levels 1 and 2, starting from scratch and making a name for yourself, you've brought in some clients, and now you have a foundation of your business. It's a proof of concept. So through this proof of concept, you know that your business works, for one. You know it can be profitable, and you have a foundation built up, and you're starting to develop a bit of a reputation. Scaling up the operation is by, once you have a process in place, you know that it works, you are then duplicating. You're duplicating yourself by bringing on team members, you're hiring people, you're increasing your ad spend, your marketing spend, you're increasing your spending, and you're taking risks to grow, right? So if you're activating on this much activity on a day-to-day basis through marketing, spending, automation, efficiency, and delegation, through building a great team, you're able to go from this, let's say this is the maximum amount you can do on a day-to-day basis because it's just you. You then go to this, let's say, through scale. Every business reaches a point where they either choose to scale or they choose to just chill. And this is where you find businesses that are a successful family-run business in the community, and they never scale up. They never get multiple locations. They never try to move into different markets. They never go to that next level. They stay at level 2 forever, and they never go to level 3, which is scaling up the operation. It takes a tremendous amount of guts, confidence, and courage. And it's risky, right? I mean, anything that has great potential is going to be risky. There's no guarantee it's going to pay off. But the people that get past level 3 is going to really create a legacy business. And they're the ones that people study. They write history books about these people. Okay? So level 3, scaling up the operation. Level 4, positioning your business. So in my industry, in the insurance space, kind of the goal for a lot of insurance businesses that are trying to create legacy businesses, there's 2 goals really, depending on who you talk to. The first one is they want to create a legacy business that will live past them. Maybe their kids take it over or something like that. The second thing is this, they want to be acquired. They want a bigger company, maybe a private equity company, something like that, to come in and buy their business. And this puts them in a position for generational wealth. Now, it depends on kind of what your business actually is. If you're Jeff Bezos and Amazon's making $100 million a year and someone comes in and says, we'll buy you for $1 billion, that's a terrible deal for Jeff. Imagine if Jeff Bezos did that. Amazon's a $1 trillion company today. So that would have been a massive, massive mistake for Jeff. Now, Jeff would never have to worry about money again. He'd be set for the rest of his life. However, he's limiting the potential of what his business could be. So that's the risk you take. But when I say positioning your business, you're positioning it to be valuable for an acquisition, and you're positioning it to be able to take advantage of opportunities. And how you position your business is you continue to grow your operation, and you continue to clean up little messes. You're finding ways to not waste money. You're finding ways to increase efficiency. You're trying to make your business tighten the screws, if you will, to become a well-oiled machine that can really run without you. That's kind of what you need. And at that point, even if you don't want to sell your business, you have options. Now, there's plenty of examples in business where someone sold their business, number one, and turned out to be a great decision. In my industry, there's tons of examples in the insurance space. The second thing, and like coming back to that before I move on, it's right place, it's right time, the stars align, and it's perfect. The second situation to that is they sell too early and they limit the potential of what their business could be, and then the business absolutely explodes without them. If you've ever seen the movie The Social Network, it's one of my favorites. It's about Mark Zuckerberg and the Facebook story. And it's a great movie. It's definitely Hollywood and dramatized of the exact story of what actually happened. But it's a good movie. I've seen it probably 15 times. And there's a scene in the movie where, so Justin Timberlake is in the movie. And Justin Timberlake is playing, what's his name? The Napster guy. Sean Parker. He's playing Sean Parker, the guy that was a co-founder of Napster, went on to co-found Spotify now, serial entrepreneur, tech guy in Silicon Valley kind of person, right? So he kind of links up with Mark Zuckerberg and his team while they're in college, and they're at a bar. They're at like a club, and like the music's all going. It's like, and like they can barely hear each other. He's yelling to kind of talk to Mark. And it's a very like iconic scene where he tells the story of the guy that founded Victoria's Secret. So the guy that creates the company Victoria's Secret, it goes something like this. Probably going to butcher some of the details, so don't hold my feet to the fire a little bit. But this is more or less what the story is. The guy that creates Victoria's Secret creates a business because he wants men to be able to buy lingerie for their spouses without feeling like perverts. That's kind of the idea of Victoria's Secret. So that's kind of, he wants a safe place for him and men like him to be able to buy lingerie for their spouses, right? It's kind of the idea of Victoria's Secret. Builds it up, business does good, cash flows, becomes a really good business. He sells the business, probably for 8 figures, potentially 9 figures, something like that, right? Makes a good amount on his way out. But the business explodes from there. And, a couple years later, the business is raking in $500 million, probably $1 billion, something like that. We all know what the business is today. And the guy flings himself off the Golden Gate Bridge, kills himself, San Francisco, because he sold too early. So positioning your business, not so you can necessarily sell, but so you have the option to if the right opportunity presents itself. And if you don't sell, you're still scaling up and you're creating a business that will live long past you, right? That's level 4. Level 5. Now, this is the part that people try to start with. This is a problem, right? Diversifying investments and assets. If you look at any great business person, entrepreneur, they usually don't start diversifying their investments or their portfolios until they're already incredibly wealthy, incredibly successful. So like sometimes people will point to like Elon Musk. They're like, well, look at Elon Musk. Elon Musk runs 3 businesses right now. He runs Twitter, he runs SpaceX, he runs Tesla. But do you think he started that way? If you look at Elon Musk's career, he helped found PayPal. That was his business, PayPal. He sells PayPal, makes a fortune. He takes his startup money and goes in and becomes the CEO of Tesla, and he creates SpaceX. So 2 businesses. And one of them is already established in Tesla. So, and if you look at Elon Musk, he's working 100 hours a week for years. So he goes in and buys Twitter. He has to put people in charge of running his other businesses. He's not running all 3 at the same time. And Elon Musk, by the way, is one of the most brilliant people in our planet. Most people can't even manage running one business at that level. So Elon Musk is not the example you should point to. If you look at Jeff Bezos, he runs Amazon. One business. If you look at Bill Gates, he is kind of retired now, but he ran Microsoft. One business. If you look at Steve Jobs, he ran Apple. And later on he bought Pixar and owned Pixar and then sold it off to Disney later. One business, 2 at the most. Laser focus, guys. All these people saying, you need 15 streams of income. Why are you listening to these people? It's not what the most successful people on the planet do. Wealth and real success comes in laser focus and specializing. It's better to be the best in the world at something than being mediocre at best at a bunch of things. It's true. Success comes from specializing. And so when you get to level 5, it's not that you're even starting other businesses and you're starting back at level 1. You're just investing in things. You're buying stock in a business. You're buying ownership in a business. You are buying real estate, things like that. But they're things that they're basically just places to camp your money on autopilot. And you put people in charge of running that for you. So many people want to start at level 5 when they have no money, when they're on food stamps. They get a Robinhood app and start stock trading. Stupid. Dumb. And level 6, the final step, the final level is legacy. Your business is established. It will be remembered forever. It's a force to be reckoned with in your industry. And you have options. You could either sell it, walk away, never have to work again. You could have your kids take over, run it. You can just enjoy the rest of your life. And you have a legacy forever. If you want to be massively successful, one of the most successful people on this planet, these are the 6 levels you have to go through. And don't cheat the process. Don't try to skip to level 4 without going through 1, 2, 3 first. Anyway, guys, I just wanted to spend some time, do a podcast about this because this is the message that people need to be hearing, but I see very few people talking about this because it's not sexy. You can't fool uneducated people. Well, you can, it's easier to, let me take that back. It's easier to fool uneducated people that are poor with laptop lifestyle, bro, multiple streams of income, bro. And those people are not even all that successful themselves in the grand scheme of things. Study people that are at the top and look at what they do. All these people that are selling you these trainings and everything like that, they study these people that are massively successful. And so they say they're studying these people and they're not even teaching you to do what they would do. They're teaching you to do what makes them more money by buying into their trainings and, sexy, clickbaity, that kind of thing. But they're selling level 5 and 6 without really even teaching you that you need 1, 2, 3, 4 first. So understand these 6 levels to growing a legacy business. And there is no cheating. Nobody has ever done it without going through all 6 steps, all 6 levels. As I said earlier in the episode, think about it like a video game. You have to beat the boss in level 1 before you can advance to level 2. And then level 2 is a little bit harder than level 1. And then you go to level 3, and level 3 is a little bit harder than level 2 and 1 were. And it just continuously gets more complex, and it's more complicated problems that you have to solve and more complicated bosses you have to beat. Such is true in business. So understand that, and understand that's what the most successful people on this planet, the roadmap and the blueprint that they live by. You can see it time and time again if you study what they actually do. So my advice to you, if you want to be a business owner, if you want to be an entrepreneur, go all in, laser focus on your business. Because if you're trying to do all these different things at once, you'll never get any traction or momentum with any one thing. And if you do diversify later on, it should be diversification that you can either plant your money in and just set it and forget it. You don't have to work on it all the time, or it should be related to your business. It can be like another branch of your business, right? So that's my advice to you guys. Understand what the billionaires and multi-billionaires do and reject all this silly nonsense teaching that goes around these days. Anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this episode, please do me a favor. If it lets you leave a 5-star review on the platform that you are listening to us on, please do so. It helps us so much in the ranking and the algorithms, helping people find our podcast more easily. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you. Please like, comment, and subscribe. We put out multiple videos every week that help you grow your business, specifically tailored to insurance agents, but I think it can be used in multiple different lines of business. So if you're not in insurance, that doesn't mean that we're not for you. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for listening. Happy building. And we'll see you at the top. Thanks a lot, guys. Later.